A very good evening to you and welcome to CTV PM Edition with me, Melissa Mboha, and Isaac Luchamuzi on Sign Language. In our top story tonight, the Shadow Cabinet is accusing the Clerk of Parliament, Adolphe Mwesije, of conniving with the government to alter the resolution of Parliament to cancel the Uganda Vinci coffee deal. From the get-go, members of the opposition have always challenged the Uganda Vinci coffee deal, despite government's position to support the bill. Take a look.
Precise and as
members of the opposition and the Shadow Cabinet too expressed today revealed their suspicion of government plotting to alter the resolution of Parliament in favor and protection of the Uganda Vinci Coffee Company, contrary to the resolution to cancel the monopolized dubious coffee agreement. While addressing journalists today in Parliament, the chief petitioners of the coffee deal led by Mityana South MP Richard Lumu revealed that they have on several occasions demanded for the circulation of the resolution report to MPs, but the clerk has persistently refused to comply with the demand. However, the Director of Communication of Parliament, Chris Obore, called this allegation baseless.
Something that we've been demanding, and since we're in recess, we would like to tell the public that when we return to Parliament, it will be the first thing that we will demand for the Ministry of Finance to bring the Treasury Memorandum to see those resolutions. We want to understand. We do not want anyone to change what Parliament has decided. We already have information that they want to say, oh, the Parliament said there should be a review of the deal. No, we said cancellation of that deal.
Need that resolution to be given to us the way it was made in the Parliament, so that if we are to fight for our rights, we have that resolution. We know and we think that there was some play with the resolution, but we need the original one because we know what we said, we know what was passed by Parliament, and we are determined to see that we get what we are supposed to get.
It is very unfair and very malicious to falsely accuse the clerk to Parliament on a matter where Parliament rules are very clear. The resolutions of Parliament are captured in the hands of the Parliament, which you usually captured verbatim. So to accuse the clerk of changing a matter which is already a public thing is dragging his name into the mud for no higher value.
According to the members of the Shadow Cabinet, the move puts many Ugandans at risk of exploitation. The legislators today also vote to continue challenging the controversial deal.
If Ugandans are poor, and the president is about to make them poorer because he wants to rip off what they are doing, it's very unfortunate. The president has amassed enough wealth for all the 37 years he's been in power.
We are here representing people, and we are here to represent people's views. If the president hasn't consulted with the people and with those who are dealing in coffee, this is what the people say. The people want to get involved in their matters. The people want to protect their rights. The people want everything to do with coffee to be managed by them.
The same way he's saying he's going to crush whoever comes in his way. You know who is in his way? Ugandans, Ugandan farmers, coffee farmers, local coffee dealers. They are the ones in his way. So what we are saying, the suggestion, what are the suggestions? First of all, respect the Constitution. Number two, respect the resolution of Parliament to cancel that deal.
According to them, government should allow locals to trade in coffee, and it's government's role to support them in value addition.
Allow local coffee dealers to handle issues to do with coffee and the trade in coffee.
Not opposed to value addition. We are opposed to who is doing it and how is doing it. Is he following the law or not? You all know that Uganda is a laissez-faire economy. Everyone can do his own business.
Meanwhile, police at Parliament today arrested a group of people who had come to file a petition.
Honorable Speaker, batuyambe ne President Museveni twasapulanga emwanyi zaffe mu mwaka gwa 2019 ekitongole kya UCDA kiganya tusasule emwanyi sente zaffe ze twasapulanga.
The petitioners were accusing Uganda Coffee Development Authority Managing Director of refusing to pay them their money for 3 years period. The suspects were whisked off with their placard they were carrying. Sarah Nakandi, CTV, PM Edition.
Members of the opposition Democratic Party have today reacted to President Yoweri Museveni's remarks in regards to the cooperation agreement signed between the National Resistance Movement and the Democratic Party. In his remarks on KTN, President Museveni revealed that the cooperation agreement did not include anything to do with political transition. The details.
In an interview with Kenyan media house KTN, President Yoweri Museveni revealed that the cooperation agreement between NRM and DP did not include issues to deal with political transition, refuting the claims raised by the party leader. The president is also quoted to be saying Norbert Mao, DP President General, was brought on board as a strategy to bring opposition into government, but not to oversee any form of political transition. Mao, who was appointed to cabinet after the July handshake, has constantly been quoted as saying that one of his major tasks is to help lay the groundwork for a political transition.
We have decided to invest in the areas which we believe in: peaceful presidential transition, national reconciliation, fighting corruption, an inclusive national dialogue, and ensuring a rack of democratic constitutional reforms that empower citizens.
Today, DP party officials, led by the party spokesperson, Opiyo Okola, responded to the president's remarks, making claims that the transition is inevitable.
There was a transition in Zimbabwe. It does not matter which kind of transition it was or it is. There was a transition in DRC. There was a transition in Burundi. So, whether it is a coup d'etat, whether it is through a ballot, whether it is through any other means, a transition is a transition.
However, party members have expressed worry whether the president will meet the obligations in the said agreement.
Now, as the Democratic Party, we think this is our duty to draw a distinction in the minds of Ugandans, regardless of the negative energies, to keep the two merged.
According to the party spokesperson, talk of transition does not mean that they are at loggerheads with the ruling government.
Talking about transition does not mean we have any ill will towards Uganda's longest serving president at a personal level. We are simply saying that he is not getting any younger, and eventually Uganda will have another president.
Meanwhile, through his social media accounts, the recently appointed Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs insisted that transition was still on top of the agenda. In July, opposition Democratic Party President Norbert Mao met his ruling National Resistance Movement Party, NRM, National Chairman President Yoweri Museveni, and inked a deal to work together. Soon after, he was appointed Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Tony Patila Humza, CTV, PM Edition.
Switching to matters health, the Ministry of Health has today launched a mental health strategic plan. The 5-year project aims at creating awareness with the intention of demystifying mental health. The launch comes at a time when cases of mental health illness are on the increase, especially among school-going children.
According to World Health Organization, 1 in every 8 people has a mental problem. Here in Uganda, the challenge mainly affects school-going children, and this challenge has been mainly attributed to waking up very early to attend school.
Young people's mental health needs to be protected. Children go to sleep at 11 p.m. after night prep. They wake up at 2 a.m. to go to class. That is killing our children's mental health. That's not the only school.
And then the terrible curriculums that wake them up at 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they become very sedated in the day they want to sleep. To keep concentration, they take stimulants. Drug abuse starts. The whole thing goes on and on and on.
The situation is much worse among children below the age of 14. Studies indicate that 50% of the children have a mental problem.
Most of us above 50 here had somebody talk to you about psychology. Your parents are always thereby with you. But many of us below 14 years, the parents are in Dubai.
Personally, I believe it is in 3 things: the school system, the curriculum, and how our families have neglected their responsibility of looking after children. People leave and go abroad thinking that sending money will help children. Children want to be with their parents.
We are finding people are suffering within workplaces. They don't have enough rest. They have a lot of anger. People are being shouted at. People are being abused in their workplaces. They're not being appreciated. There are no work policies that are promoting mental health. So we are seeing the mental health state going down in the country.
Subsequently, these effects are reported in the older people.
Come to Parliament at noon, you will get more than 20 members of Parliament talking to themselves, which is a sign of depression.
To curb the problem, government through the Ministry of Health has today unveiled a 5-year plan which will help create awareness about the disease.
Every district should have a mental health focal person. So we are going to ensure that within the first 3 years of this strategic plan, every district, we have 142, they should all have a mental health person. Secondly, we want to strengthen care. There's care that is happening, but it's not everywhere. We want to ensure that each and every facility can offer mental health services.
The move is deemed timely as the country grapples with the side effects of both COVID-19 and Ebola virus.
It disrupted services. So the few mental health services that we had in Uganda, which are centralized, were literally shut down. And many mental health units, as you recall, in our regional hospitals, were converted into isolation units for COVID-19.
Nearly 14% of Ugandans are reported to have mental health-related problems, which many are not aware of. Ramson Muhire, CTV PM Edition.
Thank you, Ramson. A positive plan indeed from the ministry there. Moving on, Uganda has registered an increasing number of HIV infections among young people, specifically adolescent girls and young women. Now, according to experts, in 2022, 54,000 people got infected with HIV. Of these, 15,000 were adolescent girls and young women, while 5,000 infections were from their male counterparts of the same age group. Take a look.
Although Uganda has made significant strides in the fight against HIV/AIDS, recently released data shows a reduction in HIV prevalence from 18% in the 80s to 5.5%. While addressing journalists in Kampala today at the Uganda Media Center, officials from Uganda AIDS Commission, UNAIDS, today spoke out against the increase in infections among the youths.
Out of about 20,000 new infections we saw in 2021 between the age of 15 and 24, 4 in 5 were among adolescent girls.
According to the Director General, Uganda AIDS Commission, Nelson Musoba, the root cause of most of these infections is inequality at different levels.
Especially adolescent girls, young boys and women are bearing the brunt of the epidemic. You see they carry the largest number of new infections because of the power disparities, and we would like to continue to focus the light on that group.
Much as there is political commitment to fight HIV and AIDS, funding for HIV and AIDS still remains a challenge since most of the support comes from donors. Now stakeholders are planning to launch the National HIV and AIDS Symposium to help address the challenge.
A lot of discussion with Minister of Finance and partners within the country on how there can be an incremental increase in government budget allocation to Ministry of Health and ARVs, and ultimately will be able to address this.
According to the people living with HIV, there is a need for actionable knowledge to prevent the new infections.
Put it on myself, I realized at one time when I had AIDS at around 1999, 2000, and I was a doctor, but I didn't have enough knowledge to help myself.
Speaking on behalf of the Parliamentary Committee on HIV and Related Matters, Sarah Kayaji revealed that will continue advocating for more domestic resource allocation to the fight against HIV/AIDS.
Parliament, we want to ensure that we make appropriate laws that are conducive to accelerate the fight against HIV and AIDS, focusing on the plight of adolescent girls and the young people in the country.
Despite the reduction in AIDS-related deaths from 22,000 in 2020 to 17,000 deaths in 2021, stigma and discrimination has also reduced, although a lot more work needs to be done. Shamim Natebo Wetendo, CTV, Pemo Edition.
Thank you, Shamim Natebo. PM Edition returns shortly with more stories after the break.
law, which disimpairs equal opportunities, or it is discriminative in nature, or marginalizing against certain section of persons in this country, we advise government for an affirmative action to be taken. So we shall actually take an interest in that law.
On another note, the Commission today released highlights of the report on how the parish development module should address challenges of vulnerable people across the country.
So for us as Equal Opportunities Commission, we looked at all the pillars of the parish development model, and we looked at those issues which may prevent marginalized persons, people, generally Ugandans, especially the marginalized persons, to participate and benefit from the parish development model. And then we developed this guide to integrating equal opportunities, affirmative action, gender and equity in the implementation of this model.
According to the chairperson of the Commission, Sophia Nalule, government should also make amendments to the way the social grant is accessed by the elderly.
But one of the emerging issues we wanted to mention in this report was vulnerability increasing, some unforeseen issues, bringing many more people into the vulnerable category, like COVID-19, like climate change. You see climate change which came with floods. So many people, you wake up one day, you have been having a home, then the floods come, like in Kasese, and you don't have a home. So you have entered, if actually you survive anyway, you have entered the group of what? Vulnerable people.
For the past years, the Commission has received several complaints ranging from Ik people of Karamoja sub-region, the Batua people of Western Uganda, and other people occupying national parks. Safi, Mokele Baluku, and Chris Semalemu Semakula, CTV, PM Edition.
The Uganda Virus Research Institute has today unveiled a new laboratory to test for infectious diseases contracted from wild animals. The institute has been making research on viruses that affect humans since 1936.
With the Ebola outbreak in the country, lately researchers have been busy researching on the virus that caused these deadly diseases. The laboratories here have been crucial in providing information about diseases such as COVID-19, malaria, among others. Today, government officials and other stakeholders from the United States of America unveiled a new research laboratory.
1, 2, 3.
The laboratory was launched today by the American ambassador to Uganda, Natalie E. Brown, who revealed America's commitment to health, revealing that the U.S. has over 30 researchers in the institute.
So the launch of the lab today is just another step in that partnership to strengthen collaboration in the partnership, to build capacity among Ugandan researchers and scientists as they respond to some of the endemic threats, health threats that are here in the country, and also as they contribute to regional health and security.
Professor Dr. Ponshano Kalebu of the Uganda Virus Research Institute welcomed the gesture, which he says will be helpful in fighting infectious diseases.
UVRI, as you know, has been doing quite a lot of work in understanding how viruses are transmitted, how viruses, where do they hide, in the area of studying, sequencing the virus, immune responses, vaccines. And I think these new labs, together with the partnership with NIH, will strengthen that work.
According to Professor Kalebu, many of the dangerous diseases come from animals, hence the need to be vigilant.
Understanding those viruses that we have, how they cause disease, how we can prevent them, how we can develop vaccines or drugs will be very important. And that is going to be one of the aims, some of the aims of this partnership and the lab.
According to the executive director of the Uganda Virus Research Institute, they are now closely working together with the Health Ministry.
We are supporting the Ministry of Health in terms of testing, but also currently we are also helping to build capacity, training other technical people in terms of so that the testing can be expanded.
The Uganda Virus Research Institute was established as a medical research institute owned by the Uganda government to carry out research on communicable diseases in man and animals with emphasis on vital transmitted infections. Sharon Twebaze, CTV, PM Edition.
In our regional news, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said on Tuesday that his government supports without hesitation the self-proclaimed Sahrawi Arab Republic in Western Sahara, while in Nigeria, a liquefied natural gas producing company has declared force majeure because of widespread flooding.
The Polisario Front, supported by Algeria, wants an independent state in Western Sahara, a vast desert area that Morocco considers part of its own territory. We are concerned about the continuing silence in the world regarding the struggle for self-determination of the people of West Sahara, Ramaphosa said during a visit to Pretoria by Polisario Front leader Brahim Ghali. It is a just struggle, it is a noble struggle, it is an honorable struggle, a people that wants to decide its own destiny through self-determination, he said, drawing a comparison with the struggle of South Africa against the apartheid regime. A former Spanish colony, Western Sahara lies at the western end of the vast desert of the same name, which stretches along the Atlantic coast. The Polisario, which proclaimed the SADR in 1976, continues to demand, with Algerian support, a self-determination referendum scheduled by the United Nations when a ceasefire was signed between the warring parties in 1991. For its part, Morocco, which controls 80% of the territory, advocates autonomy for the territory, but under its exclusive sovereignty and rejects any referendum in which the question of independence would be asked. Both sides are engaged in a bitter diplomatic battle to secure the support of their allies. The company said all of its upstream gas suppliers had declared force majeure, forcing it to make the declaration as well. Ode added that NLNG was determining the extent of the disruption that would try to migrate the impact of the force majeure. Flooding in the West African giant nation has killed more than 600 people, displaced 1.4 million, and destroyed roads and farmlands. Officials have warned that the situation could continue in November. According to Refinitiv data, supply had already been limited due to prolific oil theft that has slashed output from what is typically Africa's largest exporter. Roughly 18 cargoes had been exported in September. 90% of Nigeria's foreign exchange and about half of the country's budget are derived from the export of fossil fuels. However, organized theft and infrastructural challenges have for years led to a loss of the majority of its oil revenues, forcing the nation to keep taking out loans to service its hefty budget. Reacting to the latest development, Portugal's oil and gas company Galp Energia said on Monday it may face additional sourcing disruptions.
We return shortly with more news from the world of sports.